Hello everyone! We hope that you enjoyed our previous sessions about teaching for understanding and how it is related to CLIL and Project Zero. Today, our session will be about 4 concepts in teaching for understanding that we cannot ever forget. These are teaching for understanding's 4 dimensions, and we're going to go through each one of them. They are knowledge, method, purpose, and ways to communicate. Knowledge is only static information. It can be accumulated. They are facts, specific pieces of information, and sure, when students are learning, we cannot forget about knowledge. However, we need to transcend. In this sense, knowledge is the what. And method is the how. This is when we ask ourselves, how are our students going to access knowledge? How are they going to approach it? How are they going to relate to it? And how are they going to actually handle it? Purpose is the what for, or the why, as in, why should our students be learning this or that? What is the sense in them going through these topics? What is the reason why beyond developing competence in a foreign language? Clear purposes lead to better understanding, and also better motivation. Every single teacher and every single student should have a beautiful meaning to wake up in the morning and stand up to go to school. Last but not least, ways to communicate refer to the outcome, the results, the how, as in, how are our students going to show and demonstrate that they learned? How can they share with us that they understood? This is when we need to ask ourselves how creative we are when it comes to providing students the opportunity to show understanding and thinking. Do we only ask them to prepare oral presentations in which they only memorize and reproduce information? Do we tend to rely on one right answer quizzes only? If this is our case, we need to reconsider the way we teach and assess. An excellent idea is to plan open-ended activities in which there is more than one possible answer. This way, we make sure that all students are involved and that everyone achieves the task in a different way, his or her own way, depending on his or her knowledge and skills. As teachers, we open possibilities, we don't reduce them, right? Creating, designing, and proposing activities are good chances for students to make their thoughts visible and demonstrate understanding and internalization of learning and abilities. And we have an example for you. Let's imagine that we are teaching present perfect, a very interesting grammar topic in English teaching, because it's called present, but it talks about the past, right? In this case, we can say that this is knowledge. Grammar knowledge. It doesn't change. Yes, it contains conjugations, exceptions, combinations, but it is static, it is objective, it doesn't move. It is present perfect here in Colombia and it's present perfect in China. What would we have done before? The answer is probably very basic. We would have stick to it. That was it. Knowledge, grammar accuracy. Only appropriate conjugations and combinations, and that was the end. But now that we have opened our eyes and we have realized that it is not enough, we are going to come up with innovative methods, ways for students to get in touch, explore, and internalize this grammar tense. In this case, we thought of elaborating a timeline. It is a visual and graphic way to list our experiences. And let's remember that one of present perfect's usages is actually to talk about what people have done. Therefore, we could ask our students to elaborate a timeline in which they can locate a number of experiences that they have had in the past, and then we could ask students to interview their mates on experiences from their past. They would be interacting and practicing what we stated in knowledge. So our method here is going to be graphic representation, but also social interaction. The purpose, well, what would students actually need to be learning this grammar tense for? One example is that we usually need to talk about ourselves in different contexts, especially when we are applying to something, when we are candidates. Whether we are applying to a university scholarship, a job offer, an educational opportunity, we need to be able to talk about ourselves, our successes and failures in the past. Present perfect helps us to do that. If we sit down and carefully think with our students the different specific cases in which we are going to be needing this tense, our eyes will see the light of the relevance of this topic, this knowledge. And finally, ways to communicate. In this case, a timeline. an interview, and why not, a biography, are going to be the outcomes that give us information about how students are doing with this topic. A timeline can show us if they understood the usage of the tense, and an interview and a biography could show us how they are doing with the accuracy of its usage. These outcomes are data for us to interpret, and they are also means of communication to be established with our students. Alright, now it's time for you to practice. Provide your own example of knowledge, method, purpose, and ways to communicate. It can be about language itself, or it can be about any topic. Let's do the exercise and let's share it. Let us know your comments and thoughts on the following questions too. How much do you usually think about these 4 elements? And how to make them relevant and visible in our teaching practice? It's very important to know your ideas on these questions as well. Thank you so much for your participation, and thank you for watching this video until the very end. We cannot wait to hear and read your comments and ideas, and see you next time.